there's a real disconnect between the real people that live off here, that have survived out here for years, and the people of not only in Costilla County, but you could even say this is an issue that we're also seeing in society. It's the stereotypes. The stereotypes of the person that lives in freedom, that lives in their vehicle, that goes off grid. A lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people don't understand what's driving the off the grid movement. And so, through the Denver Post article that wrote about Costilla County being rich in cheap land and, Colorado with illegal weed, they focused on a lot of negative factors there. They talked about trash being left behind. I think there was a little bit of disrespect in that article, referring to some of the people that have come out here as not being fully ready for it. And that is true in some cases. But there are people out here that have lived successfully for years that safely and in a sanitary manner get rid of their own human waste, get rid of their own trash. They don't need a nanny state. They don't need overregulation. So there are people out here that have treated the land with respect for years, that have been out here for decades. And see, they're going to be under the same tyrannical system as everybody else. People that built structures years ago that aren't, paying the proper amount of taxes for it. And the very fact that county people would come out and even say, you need to demolish that, otherwise there's going to be consequences, indicates that there's a nasty attitude there that isn't really based in genuine care for the environment, but more evidence of attempts to control the people here and in some cases drive them out. And so one of the things that we're trying to overcome is the stereotype that there's a bunch of felons out here and a bunch of criminals and a bunch of losers and basically people without intelligence, people that can't survive in regular society. The truth is there are aspects of regular society that aren't looking very mentally fit to me or healthy. The world out there. I have my own story as to why I went off grid, and people can learn more about that on my YouTube channel. Why I choose to not, continue the lifestyle that I've lived for years, working at the same job, renting the same apartment, living the urban life. Being from a city like Portland, Oregon, and being someone that's actually done a lot of travel in my life, when I came across Costilla County in late 2012, I came across a beautiful land that I ultimately respected with all my heart. And so for me, it is a spiritual experience, even finding this place by accident. And I went back to Portland, and I came back in the last few months with interest in buying land and building a home. And I'm living now in an RV, making my situation much better, and I have internet. So being a freelance citizen reporter and doing what I do, which is talking about things in society on YouTube, I prefer to be in nature to do so. I have more of a clear head. I feel like I'm living a more natural lifestyle. I'm also living in an environment that is similar to the environment that my ancestors and my father lived in back east. And I mean on the other side of the planet, the East, if you will, Central Asia. So in that sense, it is a place where I feel healthy, where I feel centered, where I get into my creative space, and I feel close to nature. And I think about all the things that I want to grow, things like quinoa, and the right friendships with people. This is a place where there are some people that we would call mentally disturbed. There's a fair amount of sociopaths that think that the Rio Grande Ranchos is theirs. People that get involved in gossip and trying to turn people against each other. I've seen that nasty side of the valley. And what I got to say right now is that the people in this valley got to come together and put aside their differences. And they got to show up on the 9th, or they got to write letters or be somewhat active. People may have moved here to get away from Babylon and the control structure. But the reality is we're facing some of those same draconian rules, telling people you can't have an RV on your property, you can't live in it, you got to have a septic tank, you got to have this. Well, that makes this place like everywhere else. And the question is, what is their agenda? So clearly there's been, I think, a little bit of disrespect towards the people that have lived here and survived here and have done it without polluting the land or being a harm to themselves or others. And so I don't know that Costilla County fully recognizes that. And so that is the purpose of this YouTube series, discussing what is taking place in Costilla County, because it's a microcosm for a macrocosm. Okay, people came here to get away from the world's problems, but in reality, if they don't stand up for their own freedoms, if they don't stand up for their own constitution, the right to be secure in their own homes, their own person, without unreasonable harassment and everything else that goes along with that amendment and everything else in the Bill of Rights and U.S. Constitution. The question is, does Costilla County, the county that I'm in now, respect the U.S. Constitution and property rights? Because this is about property rights. So we are not going to go down easy without a fight and allow ourselves to be marginalized as trashy people, dirty people, that aren't working. I happen to have a part-time job working from this mobile home, if you will, using the internet. And ironically, the person that I am visiting at the moment, he also has a part-time job working from home. And we're both thinking about what we're going to build and how we can help each other. And so the reality is there's a lot of good people out here that didn't necessarily come for the marijuana. Not like there's anything wrong with that. There isn't. But there are people out here that have come to live a freer life, to get away from the world that they were exposed to, a world that maybe even abused them and screwed their mind up, the world of Babylon, the major U.S. cities. So there are people that have come out here for once in their life to have a dream fulfilled, to maybe build a home for a future family, maybe something that I have considered from time to time. Costilla County needs to know that there are people with heart and soul that they have never met that are out here in this valley, and our voices will be heard. I'm Alex Answer reporting from Costilla County. We'll see you in the next video.